Okay. Don't know how long this live stream is going to be because I just got my computer back today, literally just like moments ago, more or less, because Krist was finally able to uninstall Windows 11 and get Windows 10 back on here. So I had to go through a bit to set up everything, but it's worth it. It was just something I wanted to try, with the Windows 11, and found out the hard way. Sometimes that's the only way we can. You can trust what your friends and loved ones tell you when they're like, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. It's not a good idea. Or you can take a chance, try it anyway, and see what happens. Then I couldn't get on the computer because I couldn't remember my password. I had forgotten where I wrote them down. Wish there was some way you could find some, like on the on here that you could use, but I don't know how. And the thumbnail can only be so big, otherwise it won't fit. So, but Krist was in the hospital for like 12 weeks, and it was kind of a split. He was two different hospitals. First, he was in one over by East High School, what they call OSU East. He was there for a couple weeks. Then he was transferred to a specialty hospital, which he was there for a few weeks. And then he finally just came home recently. So he's only been home a couple weeks now, I think. And, he's slowly getting back to himself, walking around without help and building his legs back up, building his leg strength back up, because he got so skinny. It was really scary. I've never seen him that skinny. So it's going to be a little bit of a, job to get himself built back up again. But I know he will. He's talking fine. He had to have a tracheoscopy or whatever. So they had to drill a hole in his throat, and he's got a little tube and everything now. But, hopefully that'll be healing enough soon that they can take that out and he won't need it anymore. So, because I wasn't sure if he was ever going to get his voice back, because he was without his voice for a while. He had to write everything down, and that was just, I know that drove him crazy, especially when you're frustrated or agitated about stuff and you're trying to write something down, and then, you write real fast and you end up doing chicken scratch like a doctor, and you can't read and understand what it is, because a lot of times what he would write down, I couldn't understand. I had to read through it a couple times and try to figure out what he was saying. And if I wasn't sure, I would say something, and then he would shake his head no, and then he would try again. So it was a difficult process. And then yesterday, him and I were both outside, to get the tire fixed on the car, because I decided to plow into a wall recently. And I wouldn't really call it a funny story. It was just very upsetting and disheartening to me, because it was my own fault. When I would go to see Krist, I would GPS my way there, because I wasn't sure where the place was, wasn't familiar with the area until I drove it a couple times. And then at one point I got to the point where I could just, I know how to get right to it now. If nothing else, I could just go straight down High Street. But then coming off the street, you got to find a street that you can turn down to get on High Street. You can't turn left on High Street from Broad, except for, I think, certain times a day or something like that. So, and certain days of the week. And so I was coming back from one of these visits. I was on the freeway. I was doing 65 plus. I was too far to the left, and the GPS was telling me, your exit is coming up. And I saw my exit, but I was so far to the left, I ended up swerving way far to the right. And there was a upside down black tote, what it looked like to me, right where the ramp was that I needed to get off the freeway. So rather than slowing down and everything, see, I was lucky that there wasn't cars like right behind me, because it could have been so much worse. It really, it was terrible. So I swerved way over to the right, but to avoid this tote, I drove around it, and I hadn't slowed down. So bam, right into the wall, man, right into the wall. 65 plus. Messed up my tire, messed up my rim, and the rims are aluminum. So any of you car people out there that understand the expense of a rim, you'll know that aluminum rims are not cheap. And Krist spent like several $100s to get the 4 brand new tires on that car, and I messed one up with this accident. It was the right side on the passenger in the front. And so I'm driving around with this thing. It's making weird noises. And I'm like, okay, yeah, something, I got to pull over and see what's going on. So I pulled into a gas station. It was close to where I lived. And, I got a hold of AAA because my brother was kind enough to give me a AAA membership, and I've got it free for a year. But then come December 1st of next year, then I'll have to buy it myself, or I'll have to pay for it myself. And I probably will, because it is a good service to have. And I think it's only like $100 a year or something like that. So I'll see when I get to that point. So anyway, because I plowed into the wall, the car was down until we could get the tire replaced. When we got the tire replaced, we had to go to the junkyard to get the tire in the rim. It was an aluminum rim, but we was able to get the tire on the rim for $55. Once we did that, got it home, got it back to my mom's. Jim put it on the car. Then I was able to drive around on it. He lied and said that it was holding air, and obviously it wasn't, because after probably just a couple of days, if that, driving it, I looked out the window and it was flat. And I'm like, oh no, now what? Because I didn't run over anything that I know of, that like punctured the tire or anything like that. So I don't know what happened, but tire went flat. Krist, me, and Norma literally walked to the Lowe's, which is really close to our house. But Krist, it was the most difficult for him, really, because he had to use his rollator, they call it. It's got wheels, it's got handbrakes, and it's got a little seat that you can sit down on to rest, but generally you're not supposed to for very long, or I'm not sure, but you lift the seat up and there's a little pocket under there so you can put stuff in it, and as long as you got small items and it's not too big, not too heavy to where you could rip out the little pouch. Excuse me. Ow. That's all I need is a nose itch attack. Dang it. But anyway, so when we walked to the Lowe's a couple days ago, Krist had to get a re-inflator for the tire. And he had to get this, he got this green sludge stuff that is called, it's like a stop leak that you have to, I believe you have to put all the air out of the tire. You have to put the entire bottle in there, and the bottle's like about this tall. It's pretty good size. So there's a little hose and everything. You hook it on to the tire stem where you put the air, and then you squeeze it in there, squeeze it until you get it all in there. Then you put the little cap back on it, and then you air it. You air it back up. So that took a few minutes. Once he got it aired up, we had to get in the car and drive it right away so that the sealant could kick in and, seal where it needed to seal so that we could have the car back. And I keep checking it every so often to make sure that it's still holding, and it is. It seems to be holding. It's not going flat again. So, this is a used tire. Now, when you're going with used tires, the only drawback there that I can think of is you don't know how long you're going to have it before, it goes kaplowy on you, and then you got to get another one again. So it's very frustrating. It's a very long drawn process, you might say. And I never did celebrate Beltaine, as a matter of fact, because it was April 30th. We got paid on the 29th. There was a little bit of fear there that I was going to get my check at all. But I got lucky, and I was able to. I had to, excuse me, still yawning from waking up. I had to talk to a particular person at the SSI office, and I answered 2 questions. And then he said, okay, you're all set. And this was like probably a day or 2 before we were due to get paid. I think it was like the day before or something like that. So that would have made it around about the 28th or so. And I was relieved because I was really concerned, that I was going to be able to get my check. And, because with everything going on, I can't afford to lose my check right now. I just can't. So I decided to do subscribers only this time because you just never know. who's going to be on here. And I don't need to deal with any jerks right now. No offense to anybody that wouldn't be that way. But when you do these public live streams, anybody can see it. So, I don't want somebody coming on and just, being rude, because a lot of them do. And, so I may do a Beltaine ritual on here at some point. I just don't know when, because the month of May is one of the few that we don't have a Wiccan holiday in that month. So, I mean, you couldn't create one. And I may do that at some point. I may decide to go ahead and create one. So for those of you that watch my live streams, especially my friend Vicky, who I know, she said she watches them all the time, and she always watches any new live streams that I do. But, sometimes you got to kind of step back and take a break too, because it can very quickly take over your life, and then other things are not getting done. And like, for instance, right now, my mom is sick again because she still hasn't been eating right. She hasn't been getting up, moving around very much. She's sleeping too much. She had a bad fall recently, and nobody was home at the time. And she was able to get a hold of my brother. My brother got a hold of Jim, and then my brother got a hold of me, and he said, Mom fell, she's stuck on the floor. You might want to go check on her. And, because he wasn't sure how soon Jim was going to, get back from wherever he was running around. And just had to take off my sock and clean the toe jam out of my toes. But so, he got a hold of me, Carl got a hold of me and let me know. And I got over there that same day. And, I stayed as long as I could, which is usually the latest I'll stay is like 9:00, because she usually goes to bed around then. So, I don't want to keep her up, or anything like that. And when she's ready to go to bed for the night, I just always tell her, Mom, if you're ready to go to bed, go ahead. I'm here. I will let you know when I'm leaving. And then I do, I go in and I let her know. But when the car was down, the only way that I'd be able to get over there is 2 ways. Well, 3 actually. I could call and have Jim come and get me, but I don't like doing that because he's not very reliable a lot of times. Or I could walk, or I could ride my bike. Now, out of all of those, riding my bike or walking would probably be the 2 best to go with, because one, my bike has been sitting downstairs for too long, and I'll probably have to air up the tires again before I can even use it. And dragging it up out of the basement has always been the most difficult part. And then, getting it back down in the basement, because there's no other way to safely lock it up, because of the neighborhood we live in, there's no way we're locking it up outside. It'd be gone. And I've already had one bike stolen from some jerk around here, and that was long ago, because he didn't just steal my bike, he stole Krist's, and the 2 of them together in value monetarily was well over $500. So I hope that SOB paid dearly for that. But then he's a crackhead too, so I hope that karma punishes him proper. And I been going through some stuff myself, trying to that's just Bella, trying to get into a habit of, cleaning up more around here, and taking the trash out, doing the dishes, doing pretty much everything that Krist did for 10 years. And now it's my turn, but generally he seems to be doing okay. He's hanging in there. He's getting better, getting stronger as he can. And he's eating fine. They even put a feeding tube in him, but he hasn't had to use it since he's been home. So that's hopefully good. My teeth, they need some serious work. And I have a dentist in Hilliard, but that's in Hilliard. I've only been there once. They didn't really do anything that day. They didn't do a cleaning or anything like that. Thank goddess, because I just did not want to put up with that. I was not in the mood that day. And this was before the accident happened where, for a while there, I couldn't drive the car at all. I was driving around on a donut, basically the spare tire that they give you that's only designed to get you somewhere safe. If your tire blows or goes flat or whatever, it's not meant to be driven around on until it blows, which it wouldn't probably, I don't even know how long one could last, especially when you have 3 other tires that are a lot bigger, have a lot more air in them, and then you have this little donut on one side, and it's going to make the car look weird and stuff. So, not to mention make it even more dangerous and more risky each time you get behind the wheel to drive anywhere. So while we had the tire of the donut on there, I didn't drive very many places because I just didn't feel comfortable doing so. I will probably continue doing the card readings and stuff again that I used to always do. And, I would try to do it every day, but then things would happen and days would go by and I wouldn't be able to do a live stream at all because now that there's even more responsibility that I have here, helping Krist different ways. Sometimes I have to help him bathe and stuff like that because he's not back to full strength yet. He has fallen a couple of times, or at least one. Well, I think one significant, I mean, that it was here in the house, but when he fell and because of where he fell, he had a set of knives sitting on his table, and the knives, they went everywhere. They went flying. And of course, here's Kalika. She's just got to make her appearance, don't you, cat? But anyway, so, a lot's been going on, but, I'll whoops, there goes my mouse. Hello. I gotta re-extend. Hold on, I can remember how to re-extend the thing. Here we go. I think this is it. There we go. Because I've got a cat in my face, wanting on my lap. Why don't you get down? Leave me alone for a while. Sometimes, I just she picks the worst possible fucking time that she wants up on my lap. But anyway, this was just kind of a breakdown of, at least some of the things that have been going on and, an explanation why I haven't been on so long. I just had to take a break from doing it because I was doing it so much. Other stuff was getting not done, and that's not good. So now that things have changed, I have to change. I have to, do more and have a lot more responsibility and stuff on my shoulders, which sometimes can be very exhausting, but also me because we have some running to do. We got some cash items we got to get for the house, toilet paper, cat litter, cat food, all that stuff. All the usuals, I call it. Excuse me. And all I've had to eat is a Nutty Buddy. So I haven't even had a breakfast or anything yet. So I will try to get back on here later, but I think I'm going to close for now because, like I said, got some stuff got to get done. But at least my computer's back now and I can do live streams again. But just bear with me, guys, because I don't know how often I'll be able to come on. I still can't really commit to anything right now because I have just too much other stuff I'm responsible for, like I've already said. So blessed be. See you guys soon. And I guess that's all for now. Okay, here we go.